Yeah.
And so the political divide and the racial strain and the mob mentality on social media and the smartphones, all those things kind of added up. And I'm like, man, I really don't love people right now. Kind of like where I was in 2001 a little bit. I want to love people. I want to be curious about them. I need to hop on planes right now, make good on this idea. And it was magic. So I started hopping on planes December, I think, 3rd, 2019. I did 33 interviews out of 35 attempts. I was only turned down twice.
So then what, you just sit on a plane for the rest of the time and you just, well, I guess that was a dud, and then...
So...
Were you always the middle seat too?
Yeah, how does that...
That's a great question. I
That
love
was the
that.
first thing I'm like, okay, which one are you doing?
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Pod Gods. My name is Jake. I'm a mortgage broker, media and marketing manager at Edgehome Finance.
What aren't you at this point?
Pretty great.
Yeah, Brady Hall on eXp Realty, Tyler Miller team.
We got a special guest here. I posted a post.
Yeah.
I posted a post in my Champlin community page on Facebook, just wondering if any local businesses wanted to come on the podcast. And I got a message from Adam Irwin, who is the owner of, remind me again,
Healthy Obsession.
Healthy Obsession LLC in Plymouth.
Yes, sir.
And you also wrote a book, which is also insanely interesting and seems very cool, and I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
Round of applause.
Let's get it.
Welcome on,
Kind
Adam.
of you. Very
Thank
kind of
you.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Okay, so where do we start? The origin story?
Yeah, we have
Where were
to.
you born? What was your childhood like? All that stuff.
Let's condense it a little bit and get to the good stuff, right?
We'll speed run it.
Sure. Born in Bloomington, Indiana.
Okay.
Go Hoosiers. And grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm a diehard Cardinal fan.
Okay.
So the last place standing right now
Yeah.
kills me on the inside a lot.
It's okay.
I'm used to them winning. Came up here to the University of Minnesota
Okay.
for college.
got my degree in finance,
Nice.
where I learned that I hated finance.
That's a good way to find
I
out.
feel like
Yeah.
4-year degree, I don't like it.
Yeah. It happens to a lot.
But while I was at the University of Minnesota, I had the insane idea to walk onto the Gopher basketball team. So that was my ambition. And I believed that I had the talent, but I came to campus 6 foot 125, and I was this like floating jersey. I was like a two-dimensional guy. So I tried to figure out, I spent a good bulk of my time on campus trying to figure out how to grow my size into a Division I Big Ten caliber athlete. And I felt a little short. I believe I had the talent, but I just wasn't big enough to play.
Yeah.
And so out of that frustration of falling short for that dream, that grew into my desire to figure out why I couldn't grow my body the way that I wanted to. And then if I could help anybody else with what I learned. And so Healthy Obsession was born from that.
I kind of had a similar childhood where I was very skinny. And I still am kind of, but like I didn't.
Dude, we're short.
Yeah, and short too. You're 6 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah.
But in
I'm
heels,
lucky.
you know.
In
but
heels.
I was lean forward in a slight breeze skinny. You know,
okay.
like if it was windy just a little bit, like I had to lean forward and not get blown away. Like I
Yeah.
was so skinny. And so, and I just developed late. By the time I was 23, I'm like, where was this at 18? You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Do you have any like siblings? What did your parents do?
My dad was an electrical engineer.
Okay.
My mom was a teacher, kindergarten, and then preschool.
Nice.
And spent a lot of time, just fantastic, hands-on, all-in type of mom. My sister, I have an older sister, she's an attorney.
Nice.
So she's as sharp as they get. She's passed the bar in 4 or 5 states.
Okay.
She's
Wow.
insane. She's never failed the bar. She's fantastic.
That's wild.
But I beat her on the SAT, so I always make sure.
You tried that.
Yeah.
The one time I got her.
yeah. On camera now. That's awesome.
Reminds me of Suits.
Oh, yeah.
God.
Do you ever watch that show, Suits?
I started rewatching it,
Yeah.
which is so ironic. Like last week, that first episode, it's fantastic.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Yep.
I
Where he's-
just watched it 2 weeks ago, and I'm on like season 3, episode 5 or something now.
So
I
good.
may have binged that like 8 episodes in one night last
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
Might have.
Yeah, it came out on Netflix, and everyone's just loving it right now.
Suits is fantastic.
It is, yeah. And I was
And Royalty is on Suits.
Someone
Yeah.
just said that.
yeah,
Royalty and Suits.
Rachel Zane is
Meghan Markle.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that. And I'm sitting with one of my friends, and she goes, "That's Prince Harry's wife." I'm like,
Isn't that
"No
weird?
way! You're so right." Like,
Yeah.
didn't even connect the dots until she said something. But yeah, great show though.
It's so crazy because in the show, she's kind of like ruining relationships. In real life, she's ruining royalty. It's like, oh, you're really good at this. Tearing things apart.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's a good point.
So, healthy obsession. Have you had the mindset, like the entrepreneurial mindset always, where
From the beginning.
dream big and you just go for it?
from the beginning.
Okay.
So, in fact, before I started Healthy Obsession, right out of college, I wrote 2 books on the transition from high school to college.
Okay.
One night as a senior, I'm sitting around with my buddies, and we talked for 2 hours about, now that we're at the end of college, if we could take all we know now and go back to the beginning, what would we do differently? What would we do better? And guys don't talk for 2 hours about anything.
Oh, yeah.
True.
And
Unless it's
I'm like-
sports.
Right. I'm like, this is a book. So I started interviewing different college students, and I said, hey, if you had 30 minutes with a high school senior, what do you tell them about college? And so I grabbed all this advice from all these college students, and then I turned around and I did a poll for high school students. What are you excited about? What are you afraid of? And so
that's cool.
I wrote a book on the transition designed to be like a graduation gift book, and it was fantastic. So this is probably 2003-ish, 2004. So the first book came out, Navigating the Road Ahead, came out. It ended up being curriculum in high schools and colleges, which was cool. It was in bookstores, and it was so fun. I was on KARE 11, WCCO,
Wow.
and the Chicago Tribune did a Sunday feature on me. I was on a Focus on the Family show, like all these things at 23, 24. And I self-published that thing. And all the press releases and all the stuff, that was just me being an aggressive kid going, I think I can do it maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest thing that I ever did. And that got me started going, you know what? Writing a book feels bigger than me, but I'm going to try. And just like, trying out for a Golden Gopher basketball thing. That team feels bigger than me, but I'm going to try.
Yeah.
And that has been a pretty consistent attitude and posture that I've developed over time of things that feel bigger than me, but I really want to try them because you just get one shot here.
Where does that come from, though? Did you have a role model where you just... Was it like kind of like a muscle that you had to grow in your brain to just teach yourself to just go for it? Or I'm still trying to do it right now, so I'm just...
I think for me, it was a combination. So my dad had a great career, 40 plus years, made great money, good family guy. But I always felt like he hated his job. Didn't love his job. And he had great perks like tickets to the ball game, tickets to the Rams football when they were in St. Louis. So lots of golf. Like he had a lot of perks to his job, but he seemed to not like his job at all. And growing up, I saw that and I thought, man, life's too short.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure the career enjoyment was on the top of his list. He provided great. He was available, as a dad. So he did a lot of things right. But seeing that growing up, I thought, you know what? I really want to love what I do.
Yeah.
My stepdad was a professional speaker, and he loved all of his occupation, seemingly all the time.
What did he do? Professional speaker?
Yeah, so he was a professional speaker, and he would coach a lot of companies on soft skills, on presentation skills, on HR type things, and how to work with and manage people more effectively.
Okay.
And he loved his job. He loved it. And seeing him on fire for his job, and it was much different because he was an entrepreneur, he was self-employed. So sometimes the finances there feel different because it's not a consistent cash flow.
Yeah.
You got to go catch it and kill it. My dad was very steady in his career, and his finances were very steady. And so I admired his financial stability. But when I saw the contrast of my stepdad really seems to love his career and wakes up every day, just can't wait to get to work. And my dad was the total opposite.
Yeah.
And I think that really influenced my desire to go after it a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but it was a gradual thing.
Probably so.
Okay.
Kind of an acquired taste. And I think failing in trying out for the Gopher basketball team, not making that, I worked so hard.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, I acquired the taste for hard work.
Yeah.
And for going after it and falling just short. I'm like, man, if I can just take that same work ethic, try again, I'm going to find my way.
So that fueled you instead of deflated
Absolutely.
you. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's a special skill to have. I feel like a lot of people are just going to feel like down in the dumps and kind of depressed that they didn't make it, that they were this close, but
Right.
Yeah.
yet so far away. But you used it just to fuel yourself and push your life forward, which a lot of people don't do. So that's amazing to hear.
That's kind of you. I think a lot of people, anybody that's truly successful, failure is one of the major ingredients for success, right?
Yes.
So I think I was fortunate enough to get enough coaching and training from mentors and my parents that failure is one of those primary ingredients for success. So falling short doesn't mean that you aren't going to make it. Falling short means like that's part of what's baked into becoming successful.
Yeah.
Like if you're falling short, hey, by the way, if your effort is there, you're probably on the way, so don't stop.
Yeah.
It's that stone cutter idea. Like you keep hammering away at the stone in the first 1,000 hammers or so, that doesn't mean that it's not going to break for
Yep.
you.
Yeah.
Just keep hammering.
You
Yeah.
just got to trust the process.
Yeah.
Like I was a big time collegiate golfer,
Okay.
played very high competitive level golf, and it's a great example. You're going to fail a lot in one round of golf. Like you're not
Right.
going to hit a good shot every single time.
Absolutely.
But you got to just trust the process and just trust your mind that you're going to keep working hard and do what you're supposed to do. So it's a really unique way to look at it, the stone and I've never heard that before. So
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
cool. Okay, so how many? So you said you I don't want to say failed, but you didn't get into D1 basketball, Gophers. What was next for you? Did you take some time off? Like, okay, I need to just gather myself and figure out what I want to do, and
So then it was, I go from not being able to walk onto the team to all of a sudden I'm blinking and it's the end of my time in college. I'm graduating, and now what? I have this finance degree that I don't love.
yeah,
Now what do you do? And that's where, during my senior year, that's where that first book
Yep.
came in. And I started working on that, and that just seems like the first natural progression.
okay,
So right out of college, launched a little publishing company, published a book, and off we went, clumsily.
yeah.
So
Kind of. Did you just kind of learn as you went?
I was surrounded by a lot of caring and wise mentors. And at 23, my ability to listen to their advice and take it wholeheartedly was not as good as my ability
Okay.
is now to be. Like, I just wasn't as coachable at 23.
Yeah,
I was trying some things and some things happened to be working. And I thought I had a little bit more, probably a lot more figured out than I actually did.
yeah. What is it? A smart man learns from their mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others.
Right.
And I feel like the older I get, the more I'm like, okay, I saw that person. That didn't work.
Right.
So I'm not even going to try. I'm
Right.
going to try and go a different route. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 44.
44. Okay. Wow, you look great for 44, in shape.
Thank you. That's kind
Yeah.
of you. It gets harder every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the warranty has run out.
Yeah.
On the parts. That's
Yep.
for sure.
Okay, so what is? I mean, you're into health and wellness. You said you're helping people from. You said you had a cancer patient. You have hockey players, young hockey players.
Yeah, a collegiate hockey player right now that I'm working. Yeah.
What's that been like for you, helping people like that?
It's very fulfilling.
Okay.
So I've had some success stories where I had a woman who has something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. It's the number one marker for infertility among childbearing age women in the United States.
Okay.
So it's a big deal, and it's a big obstacle for fertility for a lot of people. So my client had PCOS, and when she came to me, one of the issues as you get older and you have PCOS is that it's really hard to lose weight. You typically gain weight, you typically become type 2 diabetic. And when she came to me, she was 297 pounds. She was on 4 medications, maybe 3, might have been 3. But her A1C count, which is like the 90-day marker for blood sugar, was at 15.1. If you're 7.0, you're considered diabetic. She was 15.1, which is insane.
Yeah.
And so when she came to me and she said, hey, I've got PCOS and I want to lose weight, and my body, every time I try to lose weight, I end up gaining weight, and my body just won't ever agree with me. Can you help? Well, we're going to try. And so I really did a deep dive, and this is where my finance degree comes in. The Carlson School at the U of M, they trained my brain to become an analyst. And so I just targeted that analyst mindset to health. And so I kind of reverse engineered polycystic ovarian syndrome in a way that it's like, how can we get the hormones in the body to talk more effectively than they are right now? And we tried all of these things that can only help and couldn't hurt. All of a sudden, she started to lose weight. All of a sudden, her medication started to be needed less and less. And then I think they did 15 years of like fertility treatments with not a single positive pregnancy test. She comes in one day at 43 years old, and by now she's down 90 pounds.
Wow.
And her A1Cs had gone from 15.1 to 5.3.
Wow.
So she's absolutely healthy off of all of her medications. And when you have polycystic ovarian syndrome, you have cysts on your ovaries.
Yeah.
And your ovaries kind of look like a pop kernel of popcorn.
Yeah.
And in the ultrasounds, they ended up looking like a little pearl, like no cysts at all on her ovaries. Like there was no marker of PCOS in her body at all. And her doctor said, if I didn't know personally that you had PCOS, I would never know. That like it's gone. So she comes in one day and she's like, Adam, I'm pregnant. So 2 weeks
got
shy,
Big time.
I just got
Big
chills.
time.
2 weeks shy of her 44th birthday, she gives birth to a very healthy, darn near 9-pound baby girl.
Damn.
Wow.
That's a big baby.
They spent, I think, 15 years
Yeah.
trying to get pregnant, not successful, not even a positive pregnancy test. And then we worked together for a while. It was about 2 years of work.
Yeah.
But we got her to a point where the thing that plagued her, this PCOS thing that plagued her for years, it vanished. And then she had the miracle baby that she was always after.
So what was your, I mean, you don't have to give away your secret, but what is it, supplementation? Is it
It's an all
exercise,
hands
diet, all of it?
It's an all hands on deck.
Okay.
So the best part about my job is that I get to show people how awesomely they're made.
Yeah.
Our bodies are so restorative. Our bodies are designed to restore. And like we see that when like if we happen to cut ourselves, unless there's something wrong with us, that wound will heal.
Yeah.
A lot of our body is like that if we can just create the conditions and the circumstances to allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And so by a fair amount of investigation in analyst mindset, we just threw a whole bunch of things against the wall, things that can only help and cannot hurt. So your worst case scenario, even if these things don't work, you're no worse.
Yeah.
And it turns out a bunch of them did. So,
Man.
so it was not, I mean, from the foods that she was putting in her mouth to the types of exercise to the types of chemicals in her laundry detergent
Yep.
or in her lotion or hand soap. All of those things matter when you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. It's a big deal.
Inflammation. Okay, so I have like an obsession with supplements and
Okay,
vitamins
yeah.
and how that works in the body.
Yeah.
Are you a big supplement vitamin guy? Do you have like a stack you take every morning and night and
I
regimen?
do, and I'm very scrupulous. I'm very studied
Okay.
on it. I'm very picky.
Yeah.
And of course, still learning, right?
Yep.
So even like collagen's pretty popular right now.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So you're like, yeah.
I've just heard mixed things about it. It doesn't. Anyways.
Well, people don't understand. It's like when we have an orange or even like a vitamin C supplement that goes into our body, and our body goes, okay, this is vitamin C. I'm gonna send this vitamin C to these cells.
Yeah.
And like when we consume food or whatever, that's what our body does. It recognizes it and then it sends it out to go to work. That's not how collagen works. We consume collagen and we digest it, and the body goes, hey, that's collagen waste. Like collagen doesn't get sent to the joints. It doesn't get sent to your skin or your hair or your nails. That's not how it works. When we consume collagen, the body goes, that's collagen waste. I didn't know that I had that much collagen waste. I better produce more collagen based upon the amount of waste I wasn't. So it kind of tricks the body, oh, hey, you have more waste, more collagen waste than you thought. You need to go produce more collagen because we're losing more collagen.
Interesting.
So that's how collagen works. People don't understand that. And the type of antioxidants that are required for the different types of collagen, what is required for your joints is different than what is required for your skin. Different types.
So there's like 6, right? Or 5?
There's like more than 28 different types of collagen. But there's
I was close.
but types 1, 2, and 3 make up about 98%
Okay.
of all collagen. But the types of antioxidants that are required to effectively activate those and have your body producing that type of collagen successfully and deploying it. So, but the point is with supplementation, I am a big supplementation guy, but I'm pretty exacting with it.
Okay.
Like, it's not just, hey, go buy, a store brand,
Walmart fish oil.
and spend $5 and good luck. No.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be sourced well. We
Yep.
need to know exactly how the body's going to utilize it, because most people, like, and collagen is a great example. It's kind of an outlier. Most supplements aren't used that way. But it takes, if I was going to buy a house and get a loan, I'm going to talk to a professional about getting a loan,
Right.
because that's not my world. I don't study it. I'm going to miss something, and I'm going to make a big mistake.
Right.
And so I think anything with our health, whether it's supplementation or exercise, it makes sense to employ a professional where that's the 24/7 headspace. That's where
Yeah.
they live,
Yeah.
because you can be so much more successful when you get quality help.
Man, yeah, I take
Great point.
I take like liposomal glutathione.
Yep, good.
I used to take fish oil. I don't, but anyways, liposomal I feel like is the go-to higher bioavailability usually.
Yep, I've heard that.
And I'm like a nerd about it, but I have like a whole anyways.
You go to lunch with this guy, he's got a handful of supplements and he just takes them.
Yeah. So okay, let's get back to
I want to
your
talk
business.
about the Whoop.
The what?
Yeah, the Whoop Band.
Yeah.
This thing is
Oh,
amazing.
yes.
I've
Yeah.
heard only good things.
Do you
So-
wear it around? Don't they have one that goes around your?
They might.
Okay.
They probably have little nose rings for all I know at this
Yeah.
point. Like, they keep advancing their technologies.
Yeah.
But with the Whoop Band, the reason I got this, and I got it during the pandemic,
Yeah.
because if I got COVID by chance, I wanted to know right away. Like, I wanted as much information about my health as possible. And so this connects to an app on my phone, and I wake up in the morning and I can say, hey, my skin temperature is this. My respiratory rate is this. My heart rate is this. So I think they give you like 5 different markers that you can pull up right away at any given time and see where you are. And I thought, that's what I need, because I'm in people's homes with fitness. I'm in front of people. It's a people business. I'm not Zoom based. I'm not remote. And so out of an obligation to my clients to try to make sure that I wasn't putting them in harm's way, I really wanted to make sure that I had all the data possible, so that if I woke up on a given morning and I could see via the data, hey, my body's off. I can't feel it yet, but the data says my body's off. I wanted to know.
Yeah.
And so that was the impetus for getting the Whoop. And then I fell in love with the data.
What's your sleep like?
Most nights,
Yeah.
pretty good.
Okay. Do you have like a number? Isn't it like out of 100 or something?
Yeah, so Whoop has a recovery score.
Okay.
So almost like if you were a cell phone, how charged would you be for the day type of thing.
Yeah.
And so 100 down to 67 is in the green. That's good. 66 down to 34, I think, is the yellow.
Okay.
33 and under is in the red. And
Okay.
so I'm always hunting for a green score. And it's amazing to see what influences that recovery score. It's unbelievable. Eating late is a killer. It's a killer. And I'm not good at turning it off at 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock necessarily.
I had cheesecake before bed last night.
Yeah,
I
and
got out
that's-
of bed to get cheesecake and get back in bed.
See, but that just speaks to how motivated you are as a person. The average person would just be like, I'm turning over. You're like, no.
I need that
It was a
cheesecake.
discipline. I'm
Yeah,
just disciplined.
You are disciplined about your cheesecake intake, which is something to be both admired and revered.
Hey, like I said, I'm great. So
You are your own cheesecake factory of sorts.
Okay, so are you taking on new clients? Are you, because we talked to Holly yesterday about her dog grooming. She's not taking on any new clients.
Sure.
Are you open to, or do you have client or employees or?
I don't have employees
Okay.
because what I've found in the fitness industry, I have a lot of friends and mentors and colleagues that have employees. And essentially, I believe you're just training someone to become your competition. In our industry, that seems to be very true. One of the guys I know very well worked at Lifetime for a long time, and he was, I think, the hirer and recruiter type and the developer for the personal trainers for a while in the Twin Cities area. And the turnover was insane. He's like, we just can't keep anybody.
Yeah.
And so I have no problem mentoring a younger trainer. I'm happy to share what I've learned, how I've fallen short. You know, anytime I can speed up someone's learning curve in the industry, I'm very happy to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to spend my time focusing, like, typically growing a business means bringing on people to work underneath you.
Yeah.
I think in my industry in particular, that's very challenging.
You just got to just turn the cameras on and off.
Oh, no.
They'll shut off on us.
Keep going though. You have a question, Greg?
So,
The employees, yeah.
Well, I guess because, well, how are you getting your business then? Is it mostly referral? Are you marketing yourself?
it's about 50% referral.
Okay.
I retain a lot of clients, a lot of people in the fitness industry that are good at what they do. People fall in love
Oh, yeah.
with having someone alongside them. So the Latin word for passion is passo, which means to suffer. Compassion means to suffer alongside. So if you're going to suffer through some fitness, to have someone suffer alongside with you, to partner with you, people just fall in love with that.
Yeah.
So I would say about half my business comes from referrals, clients that I have that talk to their friends or their neighbors. And then otherwise, people find me on Google. The smartest business decision I think I ever made was I hired an outfit called One Wheel Marketing.
Say it again?
One Wheel Marketing.
One Wheel Marketing,
Based out of
okay.
Champlin.
Okay.
And they are web geniuses. And they did such a great job with the SEO of my website. I've been
To
organic.
contact them.
I've been organically on the first page of Google for years.
That's awesome.
If you're in Maple Grove or Plymouth and you Google personal trainer near me, I organically pop up on the first page, and I
That's
have
awesome.
for years. So that has been my marketing for the past 7 or 8 years, and that has been fantastic. And between the referrals and just the great SEO job by One Wheel Marketing, that's been most of what I needed.
Keeping you busy.
To answer your question about taking on new clients, I have been dad focused, and I'll continue to be. But
Oh, yeah. We didn't even get into.
so I
yeah.
have 2 kids. One is 5, going into kindergarten this year, and the other one is about to turn 8.
Okay.
And so I have built my entire career for the past several years around my parenting time with my kids.
Love that.
So self-employed, single dad. So I have my kids half the time, and when I have them, I've never had daycare. I plan all of my clients around my time with my kids.
That's awesome.
So, like, that's personally probably the best decision I've ever made,
Yeah.
is to make them such a priority. And there's nothing wrong with doing daycare or having there's nothing wrong with that. The amount of financial sacrifice with my choice has been severe, but it's been absolutely worth it. Now that my youngest is going off to kindergarten, I get about 10 hours back into my work week starting the first week of school. As soon as she's in kindergarten, I get so much time back. So for that reason, I now have time to fill. I have an extra 10 hours of my work week to fill with clients.
There you
So
go.
yes, once September starts, it's game on.
Yeah. Love that.
That is awesome.
What does your day look like? You seem like a motivated, driven guy, obviously, from what we've heard. But, I mean, I'm sure every day is different. What
Right.
time do you usually get up?
I'm going to go like,
Yeah, let's guess first.
Yeah. What's the over/under on this
Yeah,
thing?
what do you
I'm
think?
going like 5 a.m.
5 a.m.?
And I think that might be a little late.
I'm thinking, I want to say like 4.
4 is aggressive. And
Okay.
so
I didn't know if you're like, was it Mark Wahlberg, where he's up at
Up
3
at like
a.m. and-
2 and then like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like you have a chef, you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
you have 9 people that do daycare for, like,
Yeah.
that's cute. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that you can do all that. I'm happy for you, Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
So 2 things influence my rise time. Number 1, if I have my kids and they get up in the middle of the night for any reason whatsoever, and that compromises my sleep, then I'm more likely, I really have a premium on sleep. So if I get awoken during the middle of the night because of dad stuff, then I will wake up later just to accommodate the fact that I
Sure.
was disturbed in my sleep. And or if my Whoop band says, hey, you're in the red, then I might go ahead and toss an extra hour. But
Yeah.
all things being equal, 5:30 is about right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good guess. Nice.
Thanks, man.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, that's good.
Then okay, so I'm just interested. Like, so when you get up, roughly, we'll say 5:30. What do you do first? I know there's people that are like, I don't get on my cell phone. I journal. I meditate. I
Right.
do. You know, what do you do?
There's the best version of me, and then there's the actual version. So I would love to get up in first 5 minutes, just kind of visualize the day.
Yeah.
And, not positive affirmations. What's the gratitude?
Oh,
If you
yeah.
start your day with gratitude, it's amazing for your brain.
Yeah.
Wish I did that more consistently.
Yeah.
I'll get up. One of the first things I do is an ice bath.
You do.
I do the ice bath.
You have one at home?
I have one at home. It's the
Yeah.
cylinder. It's in my downstairs shower stall thing.
How long?
3 minutes.
Wow.
Oh.
It's terrible.
Isn't it crazy that life has gotten so crazy with so many like dopamine hits with
Right.
your cell phone and stuff that people have to do ice baths now to like ride that. I love it, but also like, why do we need it now? I'm kind of half in, half out with it.
I think for me it was twofold. One, there are 4 main health benefits from it.
Yeah.
The 2 that got me: inflammation response. So at 44, squats feel different. You know, lunges feel
34, they
different.
feel different.
You know, and my knees were like, hey, Adam, please just do something. Like, do the next thing. So the inflammation response and how my body heals and recovers so much more quickly.
Really?
Because of the ice bath, that has been significant. Big win.
Yeah.
The other thing, like you mentioned, was the dopamine hit. When we have a bit of sugar, we get about a 100% dopamine spike and then right back down. If we're into more exotic, terrible things like drugs, I think Andrew Huberman from the Huberman podcast, he talks about cocaine.
Yeah.
It's like a 200% bump in dopamine, but then you crash right back down.
Yeah.
Ice bath is like 250% sustained for 4 to 6 hours.
So can you
So-
just take an ice bath every 4 to 6 hours and
And you would be high on life forever. You'd be annoying is what would happen. You would be slap worthy, like,
Yeah,
stop, just calm down.
we get it, life's
Yeah.
great.
First thing is ice bath. Then I'll do some reading. And
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading a book called, I think it's called Discipline is Freedom.
Okay.
Name of the author is escaping me. I'm reading a book called The Circle Maker by Mark Batterson.
Okay.
That's a book on prayer. And it just, that's been a pretty interesting study because I'm going after big things, my book that's coming out. There are so many big things that I want out of life, so many big ways that I want to help people. Like, I'm so ambitious in those things. And I think if left to my own devices, outside of anyone's beliefs, I think that if we ask for help for the things that we want to achieve, then we are more likely to achieve those things. And there are so many people that I want to help and so many things I would love to do. And so I think, for me, prayer is a big part of trying to go help as many people as I can and go achieve as many things as I can while I'm here.
Love that.
So yes, so that's a big one. And then I'm reading a Tim Tebow book. He's a polarizing guy. He's kind of a love-hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, the guy, there have been times that I've heard him speak where I'm like, I will now run through a brick wall because of you, Tim Tebow.
Inspiring.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he can be very inspiring. So I'm reading some of his stuff too.
Cool. I keep interrupting you because I'm just curious about
No, it's good.
your
I-
day. But all right, so
Short
you read,
answers are better, right?
Yeah. So you read a ice bath, read a book, and then what throughout your day?
Then it's usually coffee and collagen,
Sure.
black coffee.
Okay.
It used to be Caribou coffee. Like, I would get like a foo-foo. I wasn't a coffee drinker. I was a foo-foo coffee drinker.
Yeah.
A vanilla white mocha,
Yep.
which has about, I think the large has like 60 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
It's like, good grief. You're killing it.
Yep.
So, black coffee with collagen. If I have my kids, it's intentional time with them, making them breakfast, spending some time with them until either I go to work on something at home or if I'm getting them on the bus. Now, the best part of my day during the school year, at the bus stop, I've got my kids in the car, and we talk about the 5 things that I want them to do to measure success during their day. And this has become part of my book. I want my girls to measure success in the following ways. Our goals are to have them say something kind to someone, so intentional kindness. Ask someone a question about themselves, intentional curiosity. help someone who needs help, intentional service, give or share of what you have, intentional generosity, and try something really hard, intentional growth. So at the bus stop, girls, what are the 5 things? Say something kind to someone. Ask someone a question about themselves. Help someone who needs help. Give or share of what you have. Try something really hard. Like, that's what they recite to me at the bus stop. And then when they come home, Daddy,
Bless you.
bless you. I did one of the things. I did 2 of the things. And to watch them measure success in those types of intentional engagements instead of, oh, I did well on a test. Or, oh, I won this thing in gym class.
Yeah. Where did that come from?
It came from wanting them. It came from 2 things. One was my interviews on the plane for my book, which we'll talk about probably in a bit.
Yeah, we'll get
So
to it.
it came in part from I wanted to have the same experience on dry land every day in my life as I had on the airplane, because I had these amazing, powerful, just human experiences with people. And I'm like, man, how can I replicate that when I'm not on a plane? And then also just trying to, in very simple language, give my girls easily attainable things that hopefully they just latch onto and put in their heart, and they just become, I could care less about how they perform in school. I want them to do well.
Right.
But more importantly, what I want for them as their dad is for them to become fantastic people.
Yep.
People that care about other people, people that are generous, people that are brave enough and have enough courage to try really hard things. So it came out of the characteristics I want them to be able to develop over time, and trying to just put simple things that I can, simple seeds I can water for that.
You mentioned your knees. You said, as you get older, your knees, squats aren't the same. Have you heard of the knees over toes guy?
Ben Patrick.
Yes.
Life-changing.
Yes.
Yes. His work is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love Ben Patrick.
I was like, he has to know.
Knees over toes guy. It is
Amazing.
what he teaches. And this is what's great about any industry. Things are ever changing, right? And so anytime that you can come across information that challenges you, what he teaches really challenged what I knew to be true about knee health. And doggone if he wasn't right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And what he can do himself
Oh, yeah.
on
It's
the other
crazy.
side of several knee surgeries
Yep.
is insane.
Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't.
This guy, I was introduced to him via the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yep, same.
Joe, can't wait to be on your podcast.
Shout out, Joe. We know you're watching.
So, but Ben Patrick's work has been transformational for my own health.
Yeah.
His teachings have been fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned that. He's great.
Well, as soon as you mentioned your knees, I was like, I'm sure he knows him.
Yeah. Oh, he's great.
Are you at all ever interested in like stoicism? Do you know Ryan Holiday? He's been on Rogan's podcast too. And
He's the author of Discipline is Freedom.
yeah. Oh yeah. I was thinking of his
Wow.
other book, but yeah.
Yeah, he's the author.
That's crazy. Okay,
yeah,
wow.
he's the author of that book.
I was just watching an interview with him, and that's so funny. That's his first book?
I think it's his second. I think.
Okay. He has the Daily Stoic, then he just had another one that's like the Daily Dad that he just put out, which would be, you're supposed to read like one page every day.
And that's so achievable.
Yeah.
Like I love
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
You know, like and like in fitness, like all the time, I challenge people to establish a habit. Like I want to go on a walk, like a 2 mile. No, I don't care if it's 2 miles, 2 houses. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Success
Go for a walk.
is shoes on, out the door, lock the door behind you. Establish a habit before you try to improve or perfect it.
Yeah.
And 1 page a day on a book,
Easy.
that's an easy habit to establish.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, I remember,
that.
I'll get out of working out and going to the gym, and then all of a sudden getting back into it, it's like I'll try and jump back into where I was when I stopped, and it's like it's just overwhelming and daunting. It's just like really just start small and something that's easily, I don't know. Yeah. But, okay, so speaking of books, let's talk about your book.
The book.
The book.
The book.
Did you have a question about? Because I remember before we started, you were just kind of talking about like how you had seen the little
Yeah.
some of the
Oh,
stuff
yeah,
that I
yeah,
put
yeah.
out.
Like, I just want to know where did this idea come from? Or I guess they don't even know what we're talking about. Like, explain how you came up with this idea and
Sure.
how you kind of followed through with it.
Sure. So the book's called Lessons from Coach Project. And the idea, for the past 4+ years, what I've been doing is every time I fly, the only reason I fly is to hop on a plane so I can interview the person that I sit next to on the plane.
God, that's cool.
And then I write about the life lesson that I learned from each person. And so the back of the plane being coach, it used to be called coach. So lessons from coach, lesson from the back of the plane. So the Lessons from Coach project was an idea I first got after my first flight after 9/11, October of 2001. I was in college, and it was so strange because that was the first time, like, you take off your shoes and your belt for the first time. And there were soldiers with massive guns at the airport. It was bizarre. And then I got to the gate, and I'm trying to figure out who the bad guy is on my flight.
Yeah.
And I hated how it felt.
I forgot about that.
So,
Yeah.
like, in that moment, as I'm sitting there kind of profiling everybody, oh, they look dangerous. Oh, I'm not worried about them. My love and my curiosity for people, I felt like was just kind of stolen from me. And in its place was left judgment. And it just felt horrible. I didn't like the trade at all. And so I remember going, man, I love travel and I love people. But right now, I hate the idea of getting on the plane. And all I'm doing is spending my time trying to profile people and figure out who the dangerous person is. And that feels nasty to me.
Yeah.
And I don't like it, and I want to fix it right now. And so on that flight, back in 2001, I thought, you know what? I bet if I just talk to the person next to me, all of that fear and that judgment would be disarmed. The curiosity and the love for people would be restored. That's what I should do. And so that's when I got the idea originally. But I was a college student, and I couldn't afford airfare, and I couldn't, I was just poor.
Right. I didn't even think of that.
I tabled the idea for a long time. And then one day I woke up, and I was going through a divorce, and my family was gone. And all the reasons that I had to get out of bed were gone.
Oh,
And I thought to myself, okay, I need a new reason to get out of bed. And Lessons from Coach Project came back to me, and I thought, yes, I need to hop on planes right now, and I need to fall in love with people. Because at that time, 2019, I was, and maybe you can relate to this as well, and even like our viewer listener, is that I found myself at a place where all the political divide, which has been extreme the past decade, it just has felt so heavy, so extreme.
Yeah.
All the racial strain over the past several years, particularly in Minneapolis,
yep.
that has felt a lot. The worst I've seen during my lifetime. I wasn't around for the 60s, but the mob mentality on social media is so disturbing. People just harpooning each other,
Oh, yeah.
saying things that we would never say to each other if we were in
tribal
person.
almost.
But
Yeah.
because I can be cavalier behind a keyboard, I'm going to go after you. And just seeing that play out, that feels gross. And then just people so cocooned on their cell phones all the time, just in this little like world of their own, oblivious to the magic of what's live and in front of them. Other humans are great. They're better than the phone, and we're forgetting that at a very alarming rate.
Yeah.
And so the political divide and the racial strain and the mob mentality on social media and the smartphones, all those things kind of added up, and I'm like, man, I really don't love people right now. Kind of like where I was in 2001 a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
I want to love people. I want to be curious about them. I need to hop on planes right now, make good on this idea. And it was magic. So I started hopping on planes December, I think, 3rd, 2019. I did 33 interviews out of 35 attempts. I was only turned down twice.
So then what? You just sit on a plane for the rest of the time, and you just, well, I guess that was a dud, and then
So
Were you always the middle seat too?
yeah. How does that?
that's a great question. I
Because
love
that's the
that.
first thing I'm like, okay, which one are you
So-
doing?
That's so true.
So I was always on a budget. So
Yeah.
it was never, they're like, oh, pick your own seat. And I'm like, for $19, I'm like, I'm not going to spend an extra $19 for a middle seat.
Yeah.
If that's what happens, it's like, I'm just going to trust that whoever I sit next to, I'm just going to obediently, I feel like I'm supposed to get on this plane. I'm going to obediently follow that and just let the cards fall as they will. And so, but I could cheat. Southwest Airlines is its own cheat code. Because on Southwest, you sit wherever you want.
Yeah.
I can go to the
I
gate.
didn't know that.
I can go to the gate, and before I hop on the plane, I can talk to somebody, and we can come to an agreement for the interview even before I get on the plane.
Oh.
So Southwest Airlines was a cheat code. I didn't fly Southwest all the time, but when I did, I'm like, 100% success rate. This
Yeah.
is going to work.
Wow.
But the one time I was in Boston, and I was flying back to Minneapolis, and I got an email from JetBlue. They're like, hey, there's snow in Minneapolis. Your flight's canceled. We're going to send you back tomorrow. And I saw that. I'm like, no. Because if you send me back tomorrow, I miss my flight to Phoenix. And it's January. And I'm not missing my flight to Phoenix. So I called JetBlue, and I said, hey, you have a flight in 2 hours straight from Boston to Phoenix. Can you get me on the flight? And they're like, yeah. Do you want the aisle or the window seat? And I was like, I'll take the middle seat. Long silence.
Like, who is this crazy guy?
I beg your pardon?
Who's this guy?
I beg your pardon? I'm like, I'll take the middle seat. And she goes, I've been here a long time. No one has ever asked for a middle seat before.
Yeah.
Are you sure? And so I just quickly explained the project. She's like, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yes, middle seats are my friend.
Yeah. Because then you got two.
It doubles
two
the,
chances.
It doubles the opportunity.
That's
Right. Yep.
hilarious.
Did you ever do 2 interviews in one flight?
No.
Okay.
No, the rule was always one interview.
One per flight.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I saw one of the chapters is like Phoenix/Boston.
Yes,
It's
and
so
that's
you could
why.
not, you didn't get back to
Right, because I
Minnesota.
didn't come back to the Twin Cities. Yeah.
Okay.
And that guy was, so there were 7 questions I asked everybody. And what
Are
I
you going to
could,
spill the questions?
Yeah, are we?
I can spill, yeah. So
Okay.
if anybody sees this and tries to write my book better than me in the
Good
time
luck.
before it comes out, good luck.
Wait,
Yeah.
when's it coming out?
So this fall,
Okay.
print date is depending. There are a couple loose ends.
Got it. Okay.
So we're a little flux on the print date, on the release date. But so this fall,
Okay,
fall
got it.
2023.
All
Christmas
So-
presents.
Yes,
Yeah.
big time.
Yeah.
So I can set it up with, if you'd like, because one of the other questions might be, how do you secure the interview?
That's
Let's start with that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. It was one of my questions. Like,
Yeah.
how do you like?
How do you go from sitting next to someone to, hey, we're in an interview?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I would hop on a plane, I'd sit down and it would be small talk. Typically something like, hey, so it's Phoenix today. Is that business or pleasure for you?
Yeah.
And they would give me their answer. 9 times out of 10, they'd just out of politeness kind of reciprocate. Be like, and you? And I would say, well, it kind of depends.
It's a little bit of both.
And they would kind of lean in. And I would say, so when I fly, the only reason that I fly is to hop on a plane so I can interview the person that I sit next to on the
Oh,
plane.
that's so cool.
And then I would say, so I write about the life lesson I learned from each person. And so I'm working on this book called Lessons from Coach Project. So with your permission, I'd love to interview you today. Before you answer, I have 2 promises. Number 1, I'm going to move around enough of your personal information so your next door neighbor would never know that it was you. Number 2, this will be the best flight you've had in a long time. 33 people out of 35 said, okay.
Do you
What
have
about
to-
those 2 other people?
Their funerals were last year. No.
I was like, holy shit.
Totally kidding. Totally kidding.
Were they just like, no, I just want to sleep. Like, this is a business trip. I'm trying to get some extra Z's, or how did they just kind of say no? They just weren't interested, or
One lady was older, and she was hearing impaired, and she was on her way from Kansas City she was flying to Minneapolis to go to Mayo.
okay.
So I was having heard that, I was under the impression she had maybe a major health concern.
yeah,
And I can appreciate where her mindset just wasn't in talking.
no,
I can totally appreciate that. So that was no problem. The other guy his son was a Navy SEAL, and he was all about talking about his son until he found out that I wanted to interview him. He's like, oh, I don't know, I don't like to share personal information. I'm like, you just told me about 40 things. Like,
Yeah.
So, but that was outside of his comfort zone, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. So, but it does bring up the idea that, one, I was so fortunate to be 33 for 35. Because
Yeah.
I'm putting big money on the line, like per trip,
Oh yeah.
plus hotel, plus rental car. Like that's not most of my trips for a 24-hour, go there, do something cool in the city and come back.
Do you document it when you're in
Yes.
the city?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's part of the book, right?
Yeah,
You
yes.
talk about the cities you're in. And
Yeah, so I try to highlight, like when I was in Nashville, March of this year, March 3rd, I think. And they have a barbecue place there in, I think, Gallatin called the Meat Sweats. The coolest name, like
Yeah.
a barbecue place called the Meat Sweats. I'm like, I gotta go. This place was fantastic. Really good food, but I'm like, I want to meet this guy. They started as like a food truck, I think. It's in the book, but they started as a food truck. And it turned into a restaurant, and now they have 2 locations in the food truck. But Texas style barbecue is fantastic.
Oh, wow.
So, oh man. So there's a barbecue place in Dallas called the Hard 8. Best barbecue I've had, hands down, not
Yeah.
close. Yeah, Hard 8 was amazing.
Hard 8. Okay.
I got to go to Q Fanatic.
It's
in
okay.
Champlin. I've never been
I like Q Fanatic.
Never been
Firehouse
there.
is good. If you've ever had Firehouse.
I have not.
Oh, Firehouse.
I can see Q Fanatic
Q Fanatic's pretty
from
good,
my
but-
balcony on my apartment, so I feel like I need to go. 'cause I
We
can
are going to
see-
hang out because I love me some Q Fanatic.
It's yeah.
The pulled pork. Oh, get me.
Oh, God, that sounds so good.
So
if you
good.
guys
We always
like
talk about
Q-Fanatic,
food.
I'm telling you,
It's so good.
Firehouse though.
Really?
I'll have to try it. I'll put it on my list.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
All right, off topic. Back onto the book, on these interviews.
Yeah. The questions.
The questions. I want to know the questions. Even when I was
Yeah.
reading and watched your video, I was like, what is he asking these people? Especially for someone that kind of co-hosts a podcast.
Right.
Like, what are these questions that you can talk about for a flight from Boston to Phoenix?
Is it the
Like,
whole
that's-
time?
A lot of them were 2-3 hour conversations.
Oh, okay. All right.
And to that point, I never did. Well, I tried it once. It didn't go well. I didn't do shorter flights. If it's Minneapolis to Chicago, we're up and we're down. We don't have enough time.
Yeah.
So I had 7 questions I would ask everyone. I call them my core questions because as you answer them, I learn a bit about who you are at your core. And just kind of stumbled upon them. I'm not a social scientist. I'm not a chicken, what you getting?
All right. Well, we're back recording.
Let's go back to question 2. Just
Yeah.
in case, and
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah.
we'll cut it
Sure.
where we need.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like
Yeah.
that's a good
So
place.
question 1 was, what would be the first decision you'd make as president? Or
If you were president for a day and you can make one change to the country, what would it be?
okay.
That was question 1.
Yep. And then question 2,
What was the best day of your life?
best day of your life. Okay.
So my very first interview, December 3rd or 4th, whatever day that was, 2019, on a Southwest flight to Denver. I'm interviewing a woman in the book. Her name is Jamie. And we get to question number 2, which is what was the best day of your
Now I'm
life?
paranoid.
Yeah, like, oh,
Sorry.
no, it's going to cut.
Anyways, all right.
So in answering the question of what was the best day of your life, she said, well, I just gotten a call from Be The Match, the bone marrow donation organization.
Oh, wow.
She had just signed up two weeks prior. And then she gets a call. You're a match for an 18-year-old with leukemia who is dying and desperately needs a bone marrow transplant. Can you help? She goes down to Mayo Clinic, meets with this team of doctors, super impressed by Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
Just how cohesive they are. There's no ego. Like, they're just there to save lives and help people. She was
Yeah.
so impressed by Mayo and those doctors. She agrees to the procedure. And so what they do is they drill 4 holes into your pelvic bone and they extract bone marrow. Apparently, it is excruciatingly painful.
Yeah. I
You
heard it's
wake up.
one of the most painful things you can go
Right.
through. Yeah.
And so she wakes up in excruciating pain for days. And the company that she works for, who will not be mentioned, did not give her vacation or actually to use her own PTO.
She used the wrong
she
PTO.
had to use her own.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well,
so
she
she had
had
to
to
use
use her own.
paid time off. She did not get any medical leave exemption thing to save someone's life via bone marrow.
Wow.
Yeah, so doggone.
Special place in hell for those people.
Tell you what,
Jeez.
and they're big. They're a big company.
Yeah.
So yeah. So she uses her own paid time off to go down to Mayo to go through this excruciating bone marrow transplant donation procedure to save the life of a stranger with cancer. And that was the best day of her life.
Wow.
And I'm like, that's a great human. Like, I'm sitting next to a superhero, like wearing
Yeah.
a cape. That was so cool. Question number 3 in my questions is, what was the worst day of your life? Denver was my first trip. Denver was a day trip, and this is chapter 1 in the book. So I'm flying back at night. In the book, I think his name is Sam. And he was a retired Science Museum exhibit engineer, like Ross from Friends. He builds the dinosaur bones.
Wow.
That was his career, okay? And so I asked him, what was the worst day of your life? The question that 14 people cried on my shoulder answering. And he starts to tear up. And I'm like, oh boy. And he said, well, it was the day that I found out that my wife's breast cancer was terminal and that she was going to die. And he's just, at 20 years removed from that moment, it still grips him.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. And also, what do you say to that? So I share Jamie's story from that morning about Be the Match and Mayo Clinic and her going through this procedure for a stranger. And with tears rolling down his face, he goes,
Jeez.
that is the best thing I've heard in a long time. I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you today. Thank you so much for telling me that there are people, there's a person out there that cares enough about a stranger with cancer that they'd be willing to do like that. That restores some of my faith in humanity. In that moment, I'm like, man, I'm trying to capture life lessons. When I had met Jamie that morning, I thought, what a great gift for me. What a great gift for my book. And then I'm talking to Sam. I'm like, no, that gift wasn't for me. That was for him.
Yeah.
And so trying to capture life lessons in that moment, I'm like, life is so much richer when we view it through a lens of stewardship instead of ownership. Like our house today is somebody else's house tomorrow.
Yeah.
The vehicle that we drive right now, that's going to be somebody else's car. The extra bucks we get out of a paycheck might be better served, maybe not going out for an extra meal out. Maybe we can help somebody who needs help. Stewardship is where life richness lives. And I sat there on a flight from Denver to Minneapolis, crying alongside a guy that lost his wife to cancer. And I thought, man, people are amazing. This project is special. That was day 1. I'm like, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
And every single interview has had a magic moment like that it has absolutely restored my love for people, my curiosity about people, my desire to help people. I'm a way better person. And the whole idea of the project was to help me to see more value in the person next to me. And that's the conversation that I want to have with America, is how to see more value in the person next to you. Because people are awesome.
Yeah.
If we just lean in and remind them that they matter and show them that we care, amazing things happen. I mean, that's where magic lives, in my opinion.
Wow.
Chills, literally.
That was
up
question
and down.
number 2.
So question
3.
number 2 was best day. Question number 3, which I
Worst
snuck
day.
in,
Yep.
was the worst day of your life.
4th question.
4th question is, what's your anthem? Here's what I mean. This is how I frame it. What's that song that when you hear it, you crank it up and you sing it at the top of your lungs, or the hairs on the back of your neck stand up just because it moves you, or it time travels you to a very specific moment in your life? What's your anthem?
Jake, what's yours? Come on.
Oh, man.
Allow yourself to think about it. It's a core question. It might take a minute.
I know mine right
It
away.
would take me forever.
What is it?
Simple Man.
Simple Man
Leonard
by?
Skinner?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not Little. No, it's the like rock version.
Oh, Shinedown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my uncle's favorite song, and it was played at his funeral.
Ooh.
Ooh.
And it was just every time, like me and my mom will sit down and we'll listen to that song, and it's just always
Epic.
we're puddles.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's gonna.
It is a tough question.
I
though.
can't even think of one because there's so many. Like, I'll go through a genre of day.
Right,
Of
right.
like, there's not even one that like hits where it's like, oh yeah.
But there has to be a song that will pause you and cause you to stop and either be grateful for what you have, or it reminds you of one of the very best or most powerful moments of your life.
Yeah.
I mean, music is so powerful in its ability to time travel us, to transform our emotions to a very specific state.
Yeah.
I love how powerful music can be for that reason.
Well, what's yours?
So, and it's kind of time and state dependent. So, right now, at bedtime, when I tuck my girls in every single night, we will play Louis Armstrong's "What a Wonderful World."
Oh,
and
that was
so
played at my dad's funeral. That might be it.
I'll scratch their backs, and we'll play that.
Yeah.
And a few weeks ago, my folks were in town, and we played that on the drive back to the airport. And hearing my 5-year-old sing it, and like me and my stepdad, I look over and my mom looked back and she, just we're all puddling up, and that song has a very special place in my heart right now, because at the end of each day, my very favorite part of my day, maybe outside of the bus stop, is to just scratch their backs and just be reminded that my world is actually pretty dang wonderful.
Man, well, I guess probably Baby Shark. My kid plays it so freaking much. How
And
sad
cut.
is that?
No,
Yeah.
that's it.
Thanks for watching, guys. No.
We just lost some. No.
Yeah. Viewership went down. What is it? That's cool though. That What a Wonderful World, that was played at my dad's funeral, so I can totally relate to. I mean, that
Can I ask how long it's been?
he died in 2012.
Okay, 11 years.
So yeah, wow, 11 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's been 3. My dad died in 2020.
2020. Oh, I'm sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
it's hard.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
miss him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough losing a parent.
It
Sucks.
so much. I never forecasted what it might feel like.
Yeah.
Never really spent much time imagining it. And like for my dad, he went from kind of sick to really sick in about 12 hours. I mean, things really took a quick nosedive, and I couldn't get down there in time to say goodbye. And yeah, like that was just so hard. And we talked, I mean, darn near every day. I love that guy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a lot harder losing a parent than I ever dreamt it could be.
Yeah, there was a good, I don't know if it was good, but there's like an analogy I heard on a podcast basically where it's like, say you see your parents 4 times a year for holidays. Yeah, and then as you think about it, you're like, okay, I only have like 30 more times to see if we're lucky. It's like, that's insane.
I saw that exact clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was from, but I saw it and it stuck with me. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's so crazy because I see my parents maybe once or twice a year, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does that mean I've got 10 left, 20 left with them?
If we're lucky.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Jake, we talked about that 5 months ago.
Yeah.
And I still lived at home, and I was like, I see my parents every day. It's no
Oh,
big
yeah,
deal.
that's right.
And now I moved out,
yeah.
and I'm like, that's like becoming more true, and I'm like, I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I want to see my parents every time I can.
Right.
I think it
So
was on
anytime I have any kind of business up by where they are, I'm stopping in and
Right.
saying hi for 5 minutes if it has
Right.
to be, but
Right.
I got to see them.
Your
Yeah.
parents are cool too.
I love my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a cool like cabin house thing going, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
awesome up there.
I love my parents. I wish I would have not taken for granted some of the time, because like you never know when your last time is, and whether it's your last time. My 5-year-old right now, Daddy, hold me, and she'll, and I'll pick her up,
yeah.
and she's 5. That's going away.
Yeah.
I never know when the last time is where she's gonna reach her arms up, Daddy, hold me.
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time is, but those invitations run out, and with our parents and with our loved ones, like I'm a lot more intentional about my time. I try to be, because I'm much more aware that the invitations run out.
Yeah. Or the last time you clean up their toys.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the stuff that I kind of under my breath, like, I'm going to miss those things.
Yeah.
I'm going to miss them
Yeah.
for sure.
Man.
Wow. So question 4 was the anthem. What's 5?
If I can, and we can cut
Please.
it. share a quick story about question
Yeah,
4?
of course.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm on a flight from Boston to Phoenix. It's the
Yep.
flight that I was not originally scheduled to be on. And I'm sitting next to a guy who he's 24, 25, and he's from southern India. He grew up on a farm in southern India. There are 5 different classes of middle class in southern India, or in India, and he is one of the lower 2. Pretty poor by our standards. Those people don't go to college.
Yeah.
But his family, and I'm not sure how much help they got from other aunts and uncles, or he ended up being the one that got to go to college. And then he finds his way to America to get his master's. And I mean, like, this guy, he was great. He's like, man, I get off the flight in Dallas. I get picked up by some people I know. His first meal is McDonald's. And he's blown away. He's like, he had never seen a drive-through before.
Oh,
He's like, you can sit in a car, talk to the person, drive 30 feet, and there's your food.
yeah.
Mind blown. They take him to Walmart. Mind blown again.
Yeah.
You've all these things under one roof. They're open 24 hours. He had never seen an ATM. And he's like, all of your roads have signs in America. He had so much gratitude for this country and the opportunity afforded him here. Like, he loved this country more than I think some people love this country.
Oh, yeah.
It was so refreshing to see.
Yeah.
He's like, America's great. So I asked him, what's your anthem? And I'm like, what's this like? You know, he grew up in India. You know, am I even going to know? But I'm leaning in. I'm intrigued for the answer. And he goes,
Miley Cyrus.
there's a song by Eminem.
Did not see this coming.
And I'm like, what? And he goes, yeah. He goes, there's a song when I was getting my master's. I think at like Arkansas State or something. He's getting his master's. He works in IT down in Phoenix. And it'd be 2 a.m. and he'd be working on something that was due the next day. And he would want to quit. He was so tired. I just want to get to bed. I'll get a lower score on my paper or my test or whatever. And then he would think, no, I didn't get here on my own. I'm on the shoulders of my entire family. People sacrificed for me to be here. And I didn't come this far just to come this far. So he put on this Eminem song called Till I Collapse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is just like grind.
Let's
Like,
go.
I'm going to go until I collapse. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to work so hard until I collapse. And he put that song on, he grabbed like a Mountain Dew, and then boom, you know, he's off and he's going to finish his thing until it's what it needs to be.
Yeah.
He's had that song kicked him into gear.
Yeah.
That song has been my alarm on my phone every day since I met him until the book comes out.
Do you hate it now?
I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it. But it's my daily reminder that I'm going to write this book until my bones collapse. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop until it's out, until it's ready.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
So number 5.
5. Question number 5 is, well, and by the way, after question 3, when a fair amount of people are sad, I spend the next 4 questions bringing them back up.
Yeah.
So we can finish on a high note instead
Smart,
of them being
yeah.
like, now I need Prozac. You know, like,
Yeah.
So question number 5 is, who's your hero?
Oh, that's a good one.
Love that. And I additionally love it when the person that's their hero is still alive. Because I'll say, hey, as my challenge to you, as soon as you talk to, and it's usually like someone in there, like a parent or grandparent or something. When you talk to that person next time, I encourage you to tell them about this conversation and tell them that when I asked who their hero was, you said it was them. You have no idea how much of a gift that will be to them and how much that will mean. So for any of the people watching or listening, if your hero is alive, call that person and tell them that they are your hero. You have no idea what it'll mean for them.
Man. Almost got teary-eyed.
So so that question's cool.
Yeah. Who's your hero?
It has changed over time quite a bit. I would say, having gone through more of life, probably my dad.
Yeah.
I mean, there are like tons of like 1A, 1B type of thing.
Yep.
But as it stands right now, because my dad, you know, having gone through divorce myself and my parents were divorced too, and I didn't understand the sacrifices that he made, because he could have had advances in his career that compromised time with me and my sister, and he chose to bypass some career advancement on behalf of being more present for his kids.
Wow.
And so I didn't really see or understand those sacrifices until I was in a similar position. And I'm like, he made the right choice, and I want to make the same choice. So understanding how hard he worked and how much he sacrificed, and truly how much he loved us through making those choices.
Yeah.
Those were choices out of love for his kids. So knowing that now, I'm like, wow, I had it way better than I understood at the time.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I've got a short list of people that I love dearly that have had deep imprints on my life that I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
What about you?
It's my dad.
Dad,
Right away,
okay.
I knew it. As
Yeah.
soon as you said it, I was like, oh, my dad's my hero.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost always has been.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so 5 is who is your hero?
Yep.
Are you going to skip the question? You can't just skip
I mean,
that.
I have kind of
Yeah,
like,
Who's your hero?
Inquiring minds want to know.
I have many like imprints. I don't have I can't think of like one where I'm like, I guess at different eras. So like growing up, my cousin, I'm an only child, so like
Okay.
my cousin Tony, looked up to him. I thought he was the coolest. So I got a lot of like my music taste from and sense of humor. And then probably my older cousin Jonathan, my later teenage years and even my early 20s. He's like a Navy SEAL badass.
Oh, wow.
David Goggins type.
Right.
Like very hardcore, jiu-jitsu, all this stuff.
The bad man.
Yeah. Yeah. And then now, I don't know. I have like a mentor, but not so much like my hero. I don't know.
And that's what makes these core questions really something, because it's not
Right away.
a quick file necessarily. You know, you and also it's totally fine to have attributes that you admire the most that are not found in any one person. So I did have people that would answer that way. Be like, well, it's not really one person, but it's the people who who have this attribute.
Yep.
You know, these types of characteristics.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't always have to be a person, but what you're experiencing and trying to find that answer on a plane, we would just kind of sit there and in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, we aren't afforded that type of time right now, but these
Right,
questions
yeah.
are not easy. These questions are not easy,
Yeah.
but they do make for, I felt like, what was a
good
pretty interesting
book.
conversation.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah. What's 6?
Wow.
Question 6 is, what are your thoughts on God? And it's fun to be able to talk, you know, question 1 is kind of round about politics. Question 6 is kind of round about religion. And it's fun to be able to touch on those things
Yeah.
in a way that's not pushy or intrusive.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to have a thought on God. No one ever said, well, nothing. You know, everybody has a thought on what they believe. And by this time, this is question number 6 of these, and we're far enough in. The guard is down, and people, we're having a very honest and open conversation. And people are in position now to answer that question. If that was question 1, I don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's a good one. What'd you end it off with? Had to
question
hit deep.
7. Yeah. Question 7 is, what is beautiful or great about you?
Damn.
And the reason I ask is because I think darn near every single human, at least in America, is a professional at taking negative self-inventory.
Oh, yeah.
I look in the mirror every single morning. I see where the hair's losing. I see, my crow's feet and wrinkles and whatever, I'm going to have Botox people be like, come see us. But I see all the places where I fall short. And those are the things I think that we all tend to see first. And I really wanted to end on a positive self-inventory note. So that people, when we finish, it's like, and it gives me a chance to either edify them or kind of second that, and or maybe see what I see about what's great about them as well. So that hopefully we walk off the plane and they're encouraged, and that we finish on a very high note. So those are the 7, and
Wow.
they provided unbelievable conversations, great human connections, and I'm thankful to have the opportunity to sit next to people that were open enough to say yes to a conversation like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a blessing.
How do they usually end? Like when you get off the plane, like how is
It's a good
the
question.
goodbyes? Are you still in touch with everyone you interviewed?
No, some of them I do have. I text with a couple of them. I email with a few of them. Some I'm not in contact with. But like it's interesting because you never know who you're next to. One of the guys on a flight to Tampa was straight out of rehab, like 1 day removed from rehab. And the guy, like, awesome dude, and great personality, very fun, loving. I'm like, I love this guy. And I got a chance, like, as we finished, I was like, man, like, I just want to remind you that your love for people and your personality, that's going to play anywhere. Because he was trying to look for a job. I'm like, any place of employment, if you take your personality and you take the tools that you just got, in your rehab experience, you have everything you need to succeed. You're very personable. You're very likable. You have all the tools. Take what you have and go crush it. And so he and I text about once a month. So, but a lot of the times as we finish up, it's a hug. Sometimes it's a handshake, usually an exchange of email.
Yeah.
And or on a few occasions, text if that feels appropriate.
Yeah.
Do you plan on sending a copy to everyone you interviewed?
I would like to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool. Is there thoughts of like a book 2 or like going international flights or doing buses or doing trains or just like going to different events like that where you could do this in a different atmosphere?
Question.
Yeah, and so not yet because, and I get that other question a lot, and people are like, why don't you lessons from a first class? Like, number one,
Where's the money?
I have a pretense. Well, hopefully the money is in the sales from the book. Technically.
Moving up to first class now. Your next one.
But I have an allergy to pretense. It's just in first class, those people don't want to be bugged.
Yeah.
True.
So like that'd be like less of a book and more of like a pamphlet.
Yeah.
High level of rejection. I think. I have thought about different ways to continue. The more intriguing thing for me right now, and this is what I touched on with my daughters. So part 1 of Lessons from Coach Project is the interviews and the city, like write-ups and like those experiences and the life lessons I learned from those people. But the conversation I want to have with America is how to see more value in the person next to you. I don't expect my reader to 1, hop on a plane, or 2, interview people to accomplish that. So what would I like them to do? The how-to portion, the second half of the book, are the 5 intentional engagements that I talked about earlier with my kids. Intentional kindness, say something kind to someone. Intentional curiosity, ask someone a question about themselves. Intentional generosity, or intentional service, help someone who needs help. Intentional generosity, give or share what you have. Intentional growth, try something really hard. And I have stories from my life and also other people that are going through those things. So those are the 5 things that I encourage my reader in the book to attempt to do every day. And if you can do those 5 small, simple things, you will not believe how it will transform your world. A lot of times we spend so much time like on our own problems and our own stuff. These 5 things kind of get us out of ourselves a little bit. If I'm focused on trying to say something kind to someone, and that's like front of mind, and I'm trying to focus on helping someone who needs help, and that's front of mind, I'm others focused, and it gets me outside of myself, and it gets me outside of my own problems and my own fears, and all the stuff that drags me down. My life has been exponentially better since I've added those 5 intentional engagements that are at the bus stop with my girls.
Yep.
So I would love the next book to be other people's stories of what happens when they employ those 5 things into the world.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I would love to see what happens when. So Lessons from Coach Project, and that's why, because originally it was just Lessons from Coach. That was the name of the book. Lessons from Coach Project hints at a much bigger thing. It's not just interviews on an airplane.
This could be a reality show.
Podcast or whatever.
Something.
Like it'd be cool. I mean, I don't want to.
That was my
you guys.
next question. Yeah, I was going to be like, how did you record their answers? Were you writing
True.
everything down? did you have some kind of microphone where you could go back and listen
Yeah.
to their answers? Could you do some kind of podcast with this? Or
I would love to do, and I thought about a Lessons from Coach project podcast where it's the 7 questions, and and walking people in, and it's kind of wherever that conversation leads you,
Right.
because those questions open up other questions, follow-up questions, and then the conversation just kind of takes its own life, a life of its own, rather. If it takes its own life, that's pretty tragic. Taking a life of its own is much different.
Yeah.
But so whether it's a podcast or, it would be cool to find a way to engage people in those modalities, and I'm trying to figure out what that looks like.
yeah,
It'd be cool to pull someone off the street. Some just random. I
Right.
love those street interviews with just one
Totally.
question.
where's that one guy? He's a barber and he'll walk
the
in like North
bald
Carolina.
guy or whatever?
No,
Not bald, but short hair.
Yeah, and he just walks up. He's like,
Tattooed.
"Hey, do you want a free haircut?" He's got his chair. He's got his whole setup.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he interviews
Super
him as
cool.
he gives him a haircut, and they're all over TikTok, and they're super. That's what those 7 questions kind of reminded me of.
Yeah,
He's asking
cool.
questions similar to that.
Cool.
But in a haircut situation, I guess.
It's cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat idea. That's a
Yeah.
really neat idea. It's like that.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, the Devon Rodriguez guy. So during the pandemic, he was a sketch artist. He is a sketch artist, and he was in New York City, and he would hop on the subway.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and he went on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
He's now the most followed artist on the platform.
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he would sketch these people on the subway, and then give it to them, and he would kind of record on video like, this is me sketching them, this is them, and then he'd record the moment that he would give it to them. And some people would cry, some people would hug him, and I think it's just people have this longing to be seen, to know they matter, and so that was one small way where he could take his talent and remind people that they matter.
Yeah.
And like with that barber, he's
Yeah.
taking his talent and he's spinning that in a way that reminds people that they matter.
Yeah.
And that is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It really is.
Should we wrap it up? I guess that. Well,
Yeah. Go ahead.
I have 2 more questions though. But so where can they find your book when it comes out this fall?
Great question. It will be all over. It'll be Amazon. It'll
Okay.
be. There are designs for an audiobook.
Okay. Good. Are you going to be narrating it?
I want to because I write a lot like I speak.
Yeah.
So for my first books a long time ago, when people that knew me would read it, they would say, I can hear you saying all of these words.
Sure.
I can hear you. And as I write, because it's a lot how I talk, I know the exact inflection of each word.
Yep.
I know where just like that certain pause, just because they're my words.
Yep.
And so, assuming that I can pull it off in a reasonable way, I would love to do the audiobook. So I'm going to attempt it.
Do it.
And if it fails, it fails.
Who cares?
But I'll attempt it. Digital version, of course. So, but it'll be Amazon, where all great books are sold.
Barnes and Noble.
Barnes and Noble.
Yep.
The one thing that I want more than anything is I want it to be when you go to the airport and you see like the Hudson News or whatever the little store is. They've got the books, the bestseller books and the magazines and the candy and stuff. I want to see my book, Lessons from Coach Project, on the bestseller line in the airport bookstore.
What's going to be on the cover?
So it's
An airplane. It's
yeah, it's an
orange.
airplane with some contrails like the little
Oh,
fumes
okay.
coming out the back. Yep.
And then last question: how do you want to be remembered?
Oh,
This would be
that's
like
a
the
good-
8th question.
That's a good question. That is so good.
This is our core question.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is
it's
our
cool.
one.
No, it's great. I think probably most of all, I want to be remembered as someone who helped people.
Good.
I guess I loved them, but that was manifested in a way that was help. I want people to look back and be like, man, like that guy was a helper. I would love for my daughters to, more importantly, for them to remember me that way. My dad always helped me.
Yeah.
He always helped. But other people in the world too, sure. But I think my daughter's opinion of me and my loved ones, those opinions matter most.
Of course.
But if other people also viewed me as someone who was a helper, I think that would be pretty cool.
Man,
Wow, that's awesome. That's a great answer.
Adam Irwin, author,
Thank you
owner
for
of
being
Healthy
here.
Obsession. This has been awesome.
I really appreciate
cool.
it.
Really
I really
inspired.
appreciate
My
the
hands are sweating from
Yeah.
like listening to this intensely. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story and what you've been up to and what the book you wrote and it's coming out. And it's just
Thank
been really cool idea. It was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I
Absolute
know.
privilege.
We'll have to have him back on after
Follow
the book.
up.
I would
After the
love
book
to have a
comes on
follow-up.
and we read it, it would be cool to have you back on so we can talk about the book and
Yeah,
talk about
that'd be awesome.
our thoughts and questions for you.
And
Yeah.
what's next too.
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you
So,
very much. I appreciate
cool.
the time today. Thank
Of course.
you. Absolute
Awesome.
privilege.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see ya.
Next week.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have two back. We'll see you next week.